friends, welcome to the Point. In this session, we are discussing about women and child welfare. Let's discuss about the position of women in urban as well as in rural society. The scientific and technological advancement, it has brought lot of changes in our lifestyle, but this advancement has not affected the women's growth in any significant way. In fact, the position of women living in the urban area is better when compared to the rural areas, but still they face a lot of problems like gender bias, devaluation at home and workplace, secondary status in the matrimony, etc. This is true for all the developing countries. Gender violence, victimization, harassment, it takes many forms across cultures, races and nations. Cases of abduction, rape, dowry deaths, domestic violence, mental torture, it is being increased and still existing in this society. The position of women in the rural areas, it is quite miserable. They have a denied access to proper education, proper nutrition, health care, etc. But the household chores, they have to work in the field, they have to fetch water, fodder for animals from the long distances. All the minor and major decisions in the family is being taken by the menfolk, and women have no rights to take any decisions of their own. In villages, girls marry at the very young age. They also become mothers at the young age and face several problems which affects their health as well as the health of their children. Like the urban counterparts, women in the villages are also subjected to evils like domestic violence, dowry deaths, forticides, mental torture, etc. All these scenarios in urban and rural society led to women and child welfare. There should be strict laws and education as well as legal awareness among women for checking atrocities and injustice against them. There is also a need for complete transformation and reorientation of social ethos for restoring the dignity, status, equality and respect towards the women. Role of women in protecting environment. Women, they are regarded as the closest being to nature, like gathering, sewing, cooking, washing clothes, etc. and many other tasks are performed by millions of women every day. Women in the rural areas walk miles every day to collect water. Women contribute a major share of collection of non-timber forest produce that are used directly by the rural families. But, however, over the last few decades, the relationship between women and the environment has changed drastically. Women have been the worst victims of environmental degradation. As it is stated, women use and manage the life-sustaining system of lands, forest and water. They also use energy. Therefore, local environmental conditions affect the women more than men. So, women have an integral relation with the environment. Therefore, women are essential for any measure that are aimed at environmental conservation and sustainable development. In fact, women have been contributed greatly towards the conservation movements in the world. The best example is Chipko movement. When women led by Gaura Devi protested vociferously against the commercial exploitation of Himalayan forest, the issue was saving trees and plantings ecologically. Women protested against the replacement of the mixed forest by commercial valuable pine, which was a major reason for increasing economical instability of the Himalayan region and the growing deprivation of the women of that particular area. Medha Patkar was the leading personality in the Narmada Bachao Andolan movement. Arundhati Roy, the Booker Prize winning author, is also associated with Narmada Bachao Andolan. Vandana Shiva is engaged in conservation movement relating to biodiversity, seed bank, etc. Thus, women can play a very significant role in environmental protection in following ways. Population explosion. It is one of the major reasons for environmental degradation. Women are in the best position to make maximum contribution in the family planning. Women play a critical role in meeting household and community energy needs. Women are responsible for the cleanliness of household, on which depends the health and welfare of that family. With proper education and training, they can minimize the incidence of most of the water, food and airborne diseases. There is a saying that mother is the best teacher for a child. She is therefore the best person to impart environmental education and training to her child. Traditionally, women are kept away from decision making. Their unequal access to education and lack of decision making authority, it led to a lowered position in the society. As a result, it had an adverse effect of income, nutrition, health, social support networks, and indigenous knowledge. Being close to nature, women are able to realize environmental issues far much better than men. Since women are the prospective users of the facilities, it is necessary to consider their views in planning and implementation of the project. On the international level, the United Nations Decade for Women, it witnessed inclusion of several women welfare related issues on the international agenda. The CEDAW, that is International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women 1979, it has been a most outstanding outcome for such efforts. Some measures listed to grant equality to women, like providing the right to vote to women, right to be eligible for contesting public elections, holding office at all levels, equality before law, equal rights as regards nationality, providing the right to work and equal pay for equal work, providing them equal access to healthcare including family planning services, providing equal rights to financial benefits and services, providing equal rights and responsibilities in marriage and parenthood, providing protection against child marriage. These are the measures that granted equality to the women. Child welfare. Children are regarded as asset to the society and nation, but ironically, the statistic tells it is false. Out of 21 million children born in India, 1 million are abandoned soon after their birth due to different socio-economic causes. Around 20 million children in India are estimated to be working as a child labor. Poverty is considered as the main reason to drive these children into long hours of work in miserable and unhealthy conditions. They are denied to basic rights of food, clothing and shelter. They do not get minimum nutritive food, education and recreational facilities which are their childhood rights. Children and environment. Like women, even children are most affected due to environmental degradation. It is because young children inhale twice the pollutants per kilogram of the body weight than adults. Further, it is found that the air pollutants like lead, they are found nearer to the ground, and since the children are short in height, they breathe more pollutants than the adults. Children spend 6 to 8 hours in school. The environment in and around the school has a direct impact on their mental and physical growth. The schools which lack proper water and sanitation facilities have overcrowded classrooms, disappropriate student-teacher ratio, inadequate facilities for sports and cultural activities. This not only affects the physical growth of the children, but also it affects the mental growth of the personality development of that child. The UN General Assembly, it adopted the Declaration of Rights of a Child in 1959. After this, in 1990, it became international law to promote and protect the well-being of children in society. This law, it defines that the rights of child to survival, protection, development and participation. The right to survival, it emphasizes providing good living standards nutrition and health. Right to protection means freedom from exploitation, abuse, inhuman treatment, and neglect. The right to participation means freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and appropriate information to the child. The World Summit on Children has been held in September 1990. It focused agenda for the well-being of children. It targeted to achieve the beginning of new millennium. India is also a signatory to the World Declaration on Survival, Protection and Development of Children. As a part of Convention on Rights of the Child, India should undertake to protect the child from all forms of discrimination and provide proper care. Here are certain rights that should be included in the declaration. Right to life and protection from capital punishment. Right to acquire nationality. Protection from separation from parents. The right to leave any country to go to his or her native country. The right to enter or leave another state for the purpose of family reunification. Protection from being taken abroad illegally and prevented from returning to his or her native country. Freedom of thought and religion. The right to access healthcare services with the states aiming to reduce infant and child mortality. The right to adequate standard of living and social security. The right to education with the states making primary education free and compulsory. Protection from economic exploitation with a minimum age for admission to the employment. Importance of women and child health care. Living in a degraded environment, it takes heavy toll on health and well-being of women and children. Women who suffer from certain health issues are directly linked to their environment. Nutritional deficiency, it is the most common due to iron deficiency, anemia caused by childbirth and lactation. Early marriages and pregnancies are burden of the household responsibilities. Due to longer working hours, women's burden increases, which causes further deterioration in their health. It has been confirmed from the study that women are among the most affected due to pollutants released due to the burning of biofuels. So far as the children are concerned, they suffer from number of health problems like heart problems, lung problems, etc. as a result of environmental degradation. Waterborne disease, these are the biggest threat to children in India. Childhood cancer rates are also increasing by 6% every year. Thus, it is a high time to work together to secure and cleaner environment so as to give ourselves a cleaner and safer world to live in. That's all for the session. Thank you.